The Rob Carson Show is presented by Paramount Plus.
You don't need to live with aches and pains. Visit relieffactor.com today.
You are about to hear the most interesting, informative, thought-provoking, and funny show in America. On air and on the World Wide Web. This is the Rob Carson Show.
T-minus 1 day till Friday.
It was about 6 years ago today that I decided I'm going to give up my businesses, sell them all, run for office, run for the United States Senate. Here I am sitting in front of you 6 years later saying, who the f*** do you think you were for doing that? It is a total disgrace what you did to this country. And if my Democrat colleagues are standing there defending you, I hope the voters of the United States of America watch the clips of every one of you doting on a guy who was more interested in being a celebrity than saving American people. There is no defense of what you did. You may have had a 50-plus year legacy of public service, but it ends in total and complete disgrace.
Yes, and no matter what MS Now or CBS or CNN say, America knows he's a criminal. There you go. Welcome to the show. Please come inside.
Unforgivable. Those Fauci lies.
He lied about everything. He paid for the virus.
Unforgivable. Your alibi. My alibi.
His wife singing, what the hell?
Took the fifth, cause I didn't want to be. Hauled away and charged with perjury.
Let's hope he gets punished on this life.
Never before.
And in the next one.
Have actions been more?
Yeah, he's a friggin' genocidal maniac.
Unforgivable in every way.
And everybody knows it.
Every way.
Everybody knows it.
No one believes a word I say. A word you say. The cover-up was so predictable. My explanation's contradictable. It makes Fauci quite convictable too.
Fingers crossed, fingers crossed. You know, I got to tell you, all of the things we went through, and they think we're just going to forget about it. They thought we were just going to forget about it. They thought that you and I would say, 2020's fine, and Donald Trump will never be the president again, and they were friggin' wrong. They were absolutely wrong, because we are relentless. We are relentless. We do not forget. Maybe that's why the Republican mascot is an elephant. I don't even know. I don't know. But I'll tell you, we don't soon forget, and I'm not going to forget what the little Fauci, the little Mingala of America did to our country, our economy, and our kids. Unbelievable. I will not forget it. I will not let it go. You cannot cause that kind of damage and expect to get away with it, you little monster. Yeah, he's a little monster. Bernie Moreno was asked. Yeah, he's the guy who you heard just a second ago saying, what the F were you thinking? He's friggin' fantastic. He was asked about Anthony Fauci pleading the fifth yesterday, getting on an elevator in Capitol Hill.
Excellent. Thanks. Senator Moreno, why do you suspect Fauci's pleading the fifth after testifying 200 plus times before?
Because he's a piece of shit.
Yeah, because he's a piece of crap. He is. He's a piece of crap. He is a megalomaniacal. There you go. It's hard to say. Megalomaniacal. That is like 4 syllables longer than the longest word Kamala Harris has ever used in her life. Right there. Look what I just did right there. Oh, my God, I'm a friggin' genius. Anyway, but he is, and a narcissist, and yesterday I was talking to a news director here. Her name's Adele Malpass. She's awesome. And I said to her, Tony Fauci behaved like any serial killer with regard to the COVID pandemic, because what he would do is he created the virus. He paid for the virus. There's no doubt he paid for the damn virus. Okay, there's just no doubt at all that he here. This is Jesse Waters talking about the. I'm just going to play this real quick to set it up.
We all know the virus came from a Chinese lab. There's no dispute over that.
No.
And we know Tony funded the lab.
Yes,
we
we
have
do.
the receipts.
Can you explain to the committee why you chose to fund this dangerous research in China?
On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer based upon my rights under the Fifth Amendment of the Constitution.
We know the virus was man-made,
Yep.
and that was Fauci's specialty.
Do you know why we know that? Because of the facts and because we're not stupid.
And Fauci's on the record saying man-made viruses are worth the risk.
Yeah, he did.
You said, even if a scientist is bitten, even if a pandemic should occur, the knowledge is worth the risks.
He did, yeah, he did.
Do you still stand by that? Do you think that the risks really are worth the benefits for gain-of-function research?
On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer based upon my rights under the Fifth Amendment to the Constitution.
So, I do contend, because it's true, that if in fact, and he did pay to create the virus, he got off on it. He just the thought of creating a mutant virus, I guess, was he couldn't handle it, and so he went forward with this research, and then ultimately it created a monster virus that killed a lot of people. So, if you know someone who died of COVID, Anthony Fauci is responsible for it. That's just the way it is. Anthony Fauci and the people who surrounded him are responsible for the death of a loved one of yours if they died of COVID, if they died on a respirator. A lot of people, they put on their death certificate they died of COVID to fluff the numbers, by the way, in case you didn't know. It's the perverse incentive. They were paid, hospitals and counties were paid for putting COVID on the death certificate. This is why I don't know anybody who died of COVID. I know thousands of people. I don't know anybody who died of COVID. Okay, I just don't. Back to the conversation I was having with Adele Malpass about Anthony Fauci being a serial killer. Serial killers have a pathos about them, and what they do is they are thrill killers, they are sociopaths, and frequently they are narcissistic, all right? So, let's just say Charles Manson. He wanted to be a rock star, he wanted to be famous, all of that stuff, right? And he used stochastic terror to convince people to do the murdering for him. That's different. But you look at people like the BTK killer. He's in Kansas, bind, torture, kill, and Ted Kaczynski and the Zodiac killer. They commit the act and then contact local media or the letters to the editor and brag about it, or they get off on watching the press coverage they're getting. So in Anthony Fauci's diaries, he would open up by talking about how many people died that day, how many people were tested positive or whatever, and then he would talk about the fawning that he was getting online, like Julia Roberts performing an act of virtual oral gratification on him on a Zoom call. I mean, and he got off on that. He really got into it. This guy, I'll tell you what, he has got to pay for this. There you go. He has got to pay for it, and we're not going to forget it. And what I also hope you won't forget is that the media is completely dead. There's no reason, honestly, unless you dream of living in the Soviet Union again, there's no reason to watch ABC, NBC, CBS, MS Now, CNN, because they will defend anything at all if it's against Trump and for the Democrat Party. That's all there is to it. They are completely and utterly corrupt. In 2020, when the country was burning, they said the protests were mostly peaceful. When hundreds and thousands of January the 6ers were arrested, many of them spent 4 years in prison without a trial at all. The media ignored the story. Hunter Biden's laptop, Joe Biden's dementia. I can go on and on and on. This is the latest and quite possibly the absolute worst example of how the media will look past genocide, death, destruction, trillions of dollars of damage, massive censorship, a generation of kids' educations destroyed, and the media will side with Anthony friggin' Fauci. You're dead to me, MSNBC, MS Now, whatever the hell you are, MS Cow, MS Idiot, CNN, all of you. I only play sound bites to make fun of you. I only make sound bites because why do you even have a journalism degree? Here's what you do if you want a journalism degree and you want to work for MS Now or CNN. You go to school day one, the first class and the only class you need is only say bad things about Donald Trump and Republicans, and no matter what Democrats or someone associated with the party or what a socialist or a communist does, or China or Iran, any of that, any of America's enemies, report all of that favorably. That's all you need to do. Break. Congratulations. You owe us $100,000 for tuition loans. Go out and get a job in journalism. Or as Otto Cannon says on Rumble, urinalism. Oh my God. You know, I got to tell you, I started off the day today in a very, very unbelievable fashion. You know, I like to say God has a sense of humor, very dark sense of humor. Today, an example of that, I'm going to share it. I'm going to share it because I'm going to tell you, oh boy, I thought I was going to have a stroke. Then I realized I haven't gotten the vaccine. No. But then this morning, just something happened that started off my day that was like, you've got to be kidding. I'm going to share that, okay, because it's now that, you know, a couple hours later after nearly suffering a stroke and heart attack and jumping off a building, I can laugh at it now. Okay, another good one, God. Remember that day that on Valentine's Day when my wife served me divorce papers? That was good. That was really good. But this one is pretty good. Not as good as getting divorce papers on Valentine's Day. I understand the comedic value of that one. Today was just kind of messed up. So I'm going to share that on this show today. We got great guests today. We got Brigitte Gabriel on today. We got Gordon Chang on today. We got Michael Charbon from the Charbon Report in Canada on the show today. This, my friends, is a Thursday edition of The Rob Carson Show.
WCBM.
The Rob Carson Show podcast is everywhere. Go to newsmax.com/listen for details.
All right, so for those of you who don't remember what Anthony Fauci and the agencies that he worked with, including the NIAID, that bought and paid for COVID, in case you forgot what they put us through, here's a little refresher.
President Trump wrote on Twitter, "Don't be afraid of COVID. Don't let it dominate your life." Don't let it dominate your life?
In terms of responding to a
That's Jake Tapper, probably after having having dinner with Anthony Fauci.
Comment like that, it's gross.
It's okay to be afraid of COVID, and it's okay that it's dominating your life.
Everyone should be afraid of COVID.
You shall know the truth, and the truth shall set you free.
That's Al Gore.
I can't come in, Mom. It's because of this flu thing.
We won't be free.
That's a woman standing outside of a window and her mother dying in a nursing home that she couldn't see before she died.
Of this pandemic until we listen to the acknowledged truth. Listen to...
Yeah, but you see, the truth was all a lie.
The scientists.
Science is truth.
You know, science is truth.
What is the impact to public health when people are openly questioning the science?
Now is the time to do what you're told.
By not hearing the truth, by not listening to the scientists, they are
They called the truth disinformation. They did. So Joseph Stalin did the same thing. He came up with a disinformatia. He came up with a Western word so it wouldn't be so terrifying when the government told you what to believe, even though it was a lie.
Longing how bad the
they did that to us.
economy will be.
When I see somebody out in the world who's not wearing a mask, I instantly think you are a threat, or you are selfish, or you are a COVID denier, and you definitely haven't been.
Or you look like a guy
vaccinated.
Either wear a mask or get the house.
What does this have? Are you vaccinated?
I am triple vaccinated.
So why are you wearing the mask?
Seek out the scientists and listen to their advice.
Yeah, they were wrong about everything. It's honestly, this is why the leftist media, I don't call them the mainstream media because they're not mainstream anymore. Nobody watches them, but I just call them the leftist media, the propagandists who just spew talking points of the Democrat Party, and why even have a First Amendment? I mean, honestly, it is just so utterly ridiculous. Here's the president, by the way, yesterday responding to Fauci, pleading the fifth 111 times. I think the president was much more deliberate. It's like the deliberate avoidance of damage to the civilian infrastructure in Iran. I would have taken my gloves off with this son of a gun.
Mr. President, thank you. Dr. Fauci invoked the Fifth Amendment more than 100 times today. Yes, Senator Rand Paul said he's going to hold a vote on holding him in contempt of Congress. Do you think Dr. Fauci should face repercussions for this?
Well, I watched the whole thing today, but more importantly, I was a part of the whole Fauci. I inherited Fauci. He was here from the
Now, pay attention to this, because this is true. Because he could have just followed Fauci's mandates and mandated them nationwide, but he didn't.
1980, so I had him for a period of time. And I disagreed with him on a lot. I would have had to close down the whole country if I listened to him. I went the Federalist way, which is basically let the governors decide. And generally speaking, the Republican governors did very well. The Democrat governors did not very well.
Yeah, their states were a crap show compared to Republican states where schools were left open and stuff.
But Fauci wanted to have nobody wearing masks, if you remember, and then everybody had to wear 5 masks, as many masks as you could get. I mean, made a lot of mistakes.
And then he went to a Nationals game where there were nobody in the stands and sat there and didn't have a mask. And that says to me, like, with the Newsom, when he went to a 50th birthday party at the whatever French Laundry, that they didn't believe it was deadly. They were just doing it to during an election year to destroy Trump's economy. Duh.
And he wasn't a big factor for me. He was a very big factor for Biden. And if you remember, even though we were sort of prime time in terms of that whole disaster of COVID, fewer in the Trump administration than in the Biden administration.
Yeah, but we don't really know how many people died because they made up the COVID death on many death certificates, as I mentioned yesterday with a friend of my sister's who died of dementia, and they put on the death certificate COVID, even though he tested negative for COVID before he died. It was all bullcrap. There was money changing hands, by the way, in case you wondered. Carl Higbie, I got to play Carl Higbie. Carl Higbie just owned it yesterday, man. Higbie is awesome. He's on Newsmax. He's a U.S. war hero. He's a badass mother bleeper. And he had this to say about, and nobody else has picked this up. Nobody else has picked this up. I want you to listen to Carl Higbie with regard to the Fifth Amendment yesterday, and Anthony Fauci. He should be in a lot of trouble, and I'm hoping there are people in Capitol Hill who are listening.
And the left whines about all the pardons that the Jays Sixers got all the time. Okay, Fauci's was given by an auto pen. There was a joke. But I have a sneaking suspicion that this pardon doesn't even hold up. And I'm not a lawyer, but apparently I can read better than the entire DOJ, because also in Burdick versus the United States, quote, it's asserted, besides, that the pardon is void as being outside the power of the president under the Constitution of the United States because it was issued before an accusation or conviction.
Yes, he was pardoned for everything, even though he was accused of nothing.
Or admission of an offense. This is insisted and precluded by the constitutional provision, which only gives the power to grant reprieves and pardons for offenses against the United States. See, Fauci hadn't done anything. Like, how am I the first guy to figure this out?
Yeah. You got to know what you did before you can pardon somebody for doing it. You can't just do it carte blanche. That's just brilliant. That's just brilliant. And here is Carl Higbie. By the way, I'll just go ahead and say he doesn't have a law degree, but I think I might want him as AG.
If I was Attorney General, just going to spitball this one here as my resume, I would drop the hammer, not only for lying to Congress, but also for killing people, for malpractice, accepting illegal gifts, and insurrection, as Joni Ernst kindly noted today.
Dr. Burke said you all were trying to trap the president into having no other options.
Yeah, it's true.
She wrote, your plan was to, quote, block any of the president's escape routes. So, quote, he'd have no choice but to agree to our flatten the curve measures.
Yep, it was all to destroy the economy. Here is Carl Higbie. He went to school board meetings to protest masks and kids not being able to learn in person.
The cuts to funding, to the firing of federal workers, to the demonization of their motivations. It's undermining the very
Senator Kim yesterday.
Nature of the work of governance. You know, these cuts to HHS funding, to NIH funding.
Okay, I'm going to have to do this on the other side of the break. Yesterday, the Democrats, all they did was say that Fauci was fine, everything he did was fine despite the death, and then ask for more funding for the agencies that made our kids unhealthier than they've ever been. 10-year-olds with type 2 diabetes, allowed all red dye number 4, allowed the food pyramid to be completely upside down, destroyed the health of Americans in general. Send them more money. Yeah, that's what they said yesterday. Honestly, so done. Michael Charbon from Canada joins us next. Don't go anywhere. Hey guys, it's Carson for Ghost Bed. Do you really want another summer like last summer, barely sleeping because you were too hot all night? People blame summer heat for bad sleep when it really may be their mattress trapping heat. And if you already sleep hot, summer only makes it worse. That's why I switched to Ghost Bed. Helps keep you cool all night, no waking up sweaty, tossing and turning, or throwing the covers off at 2 a.m. Cooling tech is built into every mattress. It's not some expensive upgrade you have to pay extra for. Hot sleepers are some of Ghost Bed's happiest customers. Read the reviews. You get incredible support, less stiffness, deeper sleep, more rested mornings. I got my Ghost Bed about 6 months ago, and it changed my life. Ghost Bed gives you 101 nights to try it at home. You can sleep on it all summer long and feel the difference for yourself. How many more summers are you going to waste on bad sleep? Ghost Bed is currently having their 4th of July sale, offering my audience an extra 10% off. Go to ghostbed.com/Carson. Use the promo code Carson. That's ghostbed.com/Carson, promo code Carson.
Unforgivable, those Fauci lies. Unforgivable, your alibi. My alibis. Took the fifth, 'cause I didn't want to be hauled away and charged with perjury. Never before have actions been more unforgivable in every way. In every way. No one believes a word I say. A word you say. The cover-up was so predictable. My explanation's contradictable. It makes Fauci quite convictable too.
This isn't the end of a fight. It's the start of one. Lioness, the critically acclaimed original series from Taylor Sheridan, returns August 2nd only on Paramount+. It's the new season. Hidden networks, foreign operatives, and personal betrayals collide while Joe walks the line between duty and family. Don't miss Lioness, starring Zoe Saldana, Michael Kelly, with Morgan Freeman and Nicole Kidman, streaming August 2nd only on Paramount+.
Hi, it's Tony Marino, host of the super popular Newsmax Daily Podcast, a rundown of the day's top headlines and top highlights of Newsmax shows and interviews you may have missed, plus some sports, stock markets, and even some yucks, all packed into about 20 minutes. Search for the Newsmax Daily with me, Tony Marino, on your favorite podcast platform, and check out our entire lineup of great podcasts, including Greg Kelly, Rob Carson, and Jerry Callahan at newsmax.com/listen.
Hey guys, it's Carson for Relief Factor. When it comes to supplements, two things matter most: that it works and that you can trust it. Jim ran out of Relief Factor twice. Both times his ache, stiffness, and pain came back. Once he restarted again, he says he felt better again. You know something's working when you run out of it. I started taking Relief Factor 6 months ago. I ride 30 miles on a Saturday morning on my mountain bike and lift weights every other day, and I feel great. People like Jim make it easy to find out if you'll be the next person telling us Relief Factor help you tackle your daily aches and pains. 3 weeks for just $17.76. Simply go to relieffactor.com or call 800-4RELIEF. They will do everything they can to help. We hope you'll be sharing your story with us too. 800-4RELIEF or relieffactor.com.
EVM.
Oh, beauty, go.
Take off to the great white north. Take off.
It's a beauty way to go.
Take off to the great white north.
You know, I kind of wonder if I have actually caused an increase in downloads of that song on Spotify and whatnot, because you haven't heard it generally like since 1984, when Bob and Doug McKenzie, one of the greater exports from the country of Canada, appeared on the scene. Welcome to the Rob Carson Show. Michael Charbon, host of the Charbon Report. How are you on this glorious Thursday?
Rob, it's an honor to be with you and your nationally syndicated radio listeners, as well as streaming live on the Newsmax app on the great Rob Carson Show. Just a note to your Spotify comment.
Yes.
Spotify considers that opening music a problem, so they don't like to air it. So I have to cut the Rob Carson Show, which I put on Spotify, after the musical interlude because they think it's a copyright infringement.
What?
So,
really?
Yeah.
Well, that's just a tragedy. That is just a tragedy.
You can't listen to Bob and Doug in Botswana.
That is sad. That is just sad because they were great. Although it's interesting. You ever watch? You think there's a great movie from when you watched it in high school, and then you see it later in life, and you go, "Oh my God, you've got to be kidding me!" My wife, my ex-wife now, she thought that Strange Brew, Bob and Doug's Mackenzie's, was the greatest movie ever, and then we watched it after about 10 years of marriage, and she still thought it was pretty funny, and I went, "Oh my God, are you kidding me?" It's terrible.
Yeah, the revelations of looking back. But Rob, I got some news for you.
Please,
Rob.
that's what you're here for. Go ahead.
I'm telling you, hundreds of thousands of Iranians living in Canada. Guess who they support, Rob?
I guess they're supporting Donald Trump and Iran.
Yes, and you know why? Because they realize that they're going to be liberated.
Yes.
All these Iranians who came here as refugees, came here as legal immigrants, and are now assimilating into Canada, are standing up and saying, "We are Canadians."
I love it.
We support our Iranian people who are under strife, and we support Donald Trump.
Wow.
And guess what? Your media is not covering it. I wonder why.
Well, because it was worldwide, the protest, the day that the Ayatollah was killed. The first day of the Operation Epic Fury, the Ayatollah was killed, and our Congress, members of our Congress said it was a disaster, and they have been cheering for Iran ever since. There were dozens and dozens of millions of people dancing in the streets at the possibility of a free Iran for the first time in 47 years. Our Democrat Party is so disgusting and evil. They can't even celebrate when a generation of women will be liberated, no longer beaten or murdered for showing their hair. It is really thoroughly disgusting. And I got to tell you, that's some good news coming out of Canada. That makes me very proud, Michael. It really does.
Well, I've got to tell you, I've spoken to some of these people because I know them personally. They've had communications with family back home. They believe close to 80,000 people were assassinated. Yeah. They believe that they were all put in mass graves. They don't have guns. They can't stand up for themselves. So the IRGC, a military-backed junta, is what is running Iran. And that is the whole reason why Donald Trump is going in there and bombing it, because as he destroys their infrastructure, they can't pay the IRGC. And that is the hopeful time at which that the Iranian people will gather up all themselves and overthrow the government. But,
well, it's very hard. It's very hard when you have a population that is disarmed. To actually mount a fight, and that's what the tragedy of this is. They couldn't commit something like this in the United States of America because of my hillbillies, homeboys, and Hebrews are very well armed, and this is why the left likes this. I'm hoping, and I really do, Michael. At the very beginning, I said at the beginning of the Trump administration, I said that freedom was going to encircle the globe. People were going to throw off the chains of tyranny. It's happened in Central and South America in mass. It's beginning to happen in Europe. It already has in Poland and other areas. And I also predicted that the Iranian people would be free. And shame on the Democrats and the naysayers who only want Iran. They want to keep Iran in bondage and ruled by Islamists because Donald Trump is the man who would free them. And it's so thoroughly disgusting. When the party happens, I'm going to be dancing my ass off in the streets with my Persian brothers and sisters. And you people who are against Donald Trump, y'all can stay home.
You know what? As an outside observer, when I see the very lean coverage of what Fauci has done, and then television networks in the United States not even putting your president's speech on television, and then this little nugget here of all these Canadians who are standing up for Donald Trump because of what he's doing to save Iran. It really speaks to the problem that your media has.
Oh.
God bless Newsmax and Fox and a bunch of others who actually stand up in contrary to the large media group, because I'm telling you, the more you see this, the more you become afraid of Big Brother because certain things are not being mentioned. And I'm telling you, it's getting to be a little scary. Thank goodness, final point, that the Democrats have purged their own party with this whole socialism business.
Yeah.
I just wish that youth would come and smell the roses and realize what they're being sold.
Well, they're going to get a spanking. The adults in the room are going to give a spanking. I'm a member of what they call Generation X. We haven't had a president yet. We have not had a Gen X president yet. And we're ready to kick some rear end. And these children are going to get a spanking. But I'm going to ask you this. You know that COVID came from a lab in China, was bought and paid for by Tony Fauci, the NIAID, and all the sundry organizations. Why aren't you pissed about it? Because it destroyed your economy, too. It ruined lives. It took lives in Canada. Millions of people, I don't know how many millions, or hundreds of thousands of people in Canada died. Schools closed, businesses closed, all of that. Don't you suppose there should be an outcry around the world, maybe looking at the United States and Anthony Fauci as the cause of this?
When America sneezes, Canada catches a cold. Mm-hmm. And right now, our wonderful liberal government has more than enough problems just trying to manage an economy that's in the dumper, unemployment, housing, all the problems. The last thing they need to do is mix in another problem that looks at them. And don't forget, this was during Katy Perry's boyfriend's reign. So this is.
Are you sure he's not her girlfriend?
I'll give him that much credit.
Okay,
okay. The one thing that Donald Trump has done for some Canadians is he has made us more Canadian, because we lacked patriotism for the longest time, and there are Canadians now that see the value of patriotism and standing up for your country, and that's because of you guys, and that's a good thing.
Hell yeah, and I'll tell you, I believe that patriotism is rising in this country. Despite the left, they will be beaten down. I did notice, we got a lot of tariff pain in Canada. I want to get to that on the other side of the break. A lot of Canadians don't have a lot of faith in your limp-wristed socialist or whatever the hell prime minister you have, Carney. We'll get to that on the other side of the break. Let's take a break and come back. More with Michael Charbon at Michael A. Charbon on X, by the way. Let's take a break and come back. This is the Rob Carson Show.
So why does he need a pardon? There's 1 million dead Americans, and we just want to know what the doctor did and why. He told us he'd tell us.
If there are oversight hearings, I absolutely will cooperate fully and testify before the Congress if asked. You may not know, but I've testified before the Congress a few hundred times, okay, over the last 40 years or so. So I have no trouble testifying. We can defend and explain and stand by everything that we've said. So I have nothing to hide.
You know, they say
Another lie.
You know they say if it quacks like a duck, it's a genocidal maniac. Isn't that the expression of Michael Charbon of the Charbon Report?
Yeah, we would hit it with a transport truck and then we would cook it. So I'm sorry about that.
I swear to God, I'm not going to forget this chapter in history. I had two children whose academic careers were destroyed. My daughter, after her freshman first semester, school was canceled. There was no alternative, and she went from December through the following August with no school at all. Then they did hybrid learning 3 days a week online. Then they did hybrid learning where she would go to school and some offline. Then for the next year and a half, they wore freaking masks. And then my son's college career, all of the fun that he could have had in college, 2 years. Everything was closed in town. None of the bars, none of the fraternities were able to have anything. Nothing. And I want figurative blood for all of that nonsense.
Yeah, I was a flourishing live sports network producer. Freelance. And when they stopped all the sports, I basically lost my business. I lost everything that I had established because there was nothing happening. And you look at as far as many Canadians felt, COVID was a really bad flu that affected people who already had existing conditions and were over a certain age, which were vulnerable. But the way and the tact by which that it was approached, it was so detrimental not only to our economy, but as we've seen now, there are some people who have lasting effects as a result of having to take the inoculations and still got COVID. I got the 3 shots, and I still got COVID 3 times.
I did not get the stupid vaccine. Sorry, it was stupid. I know you couldn't work. It's ridiculous. It's utterly. And look check this out. Ron Johnson. Here's Ron Johnson. This is absolute. There's true data here. Flu vaccines in 36 years had 243,000 adverse effects, 2,700 deaths, 77 deaths per year. Tylenol around for 57 years, 747 deaths per year. Remdesivir, 69 months, 546 deaths per year. COVID-19, the vaccine, 68 months, 6,922 deaths per year, and they mandated it. I got my son has a best friend. He moves out to right out of college to Colorado, going to spend the rest of his life hiking and all of this, has massive heart problems, myocarditis and whatnot, and cannot hike and will never be able to achieve anything physically the rest of his life like he wanted to. And I am not letting this go, Michael.
This is a larger scandal that I think the media, left-wing media, give it credit. And you playing that one clip of Fauci saying that he would appear, and then having him being embarrassed. I wish you would have went there. You would have asked those questions, not what color his tie is. I think your questioning would have been a bit more poignant, but would have shown the ridiculousness of this repetitive answer, which I really wonder, when you're being subpoenaed by a court in the United States, if he can continually make that statement when something which would be a realistic answer would not put him in any kind of legal problem.
Well,
I
Michael,
don't know how we can do that.
Michael, Carl Higbie, I don't know if you heard earlier, Carl Higbie brought up the fact that you cannot be pardoned for something you've not been accused of. So he had never been accused of anything. And this was actually part of the law, and I'm hoping that Todd Blanche will wake the hell up and pay attention. You cannot pardon someone, blank pardon, when they haven't been accused of anything. Because that's ridiculous. You could say, without knowing that Ted Bundy killed all those girls, you could just pardon him. It is utterly ridiculous and unthinkable, and I'm hoping that somebody does something about it. I hope he dies poor, miserable, and shamed. He doesn't have any shame, but I think the next step is class action lawsuits by Americans who lost loved ones and their livelihood, like you, bro. You have grounds for a lawsuit. Let's move on to the tariff thing. 43% of Canadians do not have faith in your prime minister to fight Donald Trump on tariffs.
Yep, the unfortunate reasoning is although I think Mark Carney has taken a more civilized approach and doesn't want to have a tit for tat in the social media bounds, I don't think Mark Carney has necessarily asserted himself to the extent that some Canadians feel he should.
You know why? You know why? There's a word for him. It's a slang word for kitty cat. That's why. Yeah. Thank you.
Well, see, don't forget when you look at the risk factor of both. Mark Carney was able to entice several people from the opposition part. Oh, you're in
Want some Friskies?
Carney has a majority government, so he's good for 3 years.
Yeah.
Donald Trump has the midterms coming in November, so he's got to get himself asserted, so he's got to look strong.
Yeah,
the problem is that 46% of Americans think that costs have gone up considerably, and many of them feel that the way Canada has been treated is unfair. Why don't we just call a truce and say, okay, let's just call it free trade. We would both profit.
I know. We're going to get there. I think we're going to get there when we retain both houses and increase the leads in both, and it's going to happen. I'm right about these things. Michael Charbon, thank you so much for being on the show, my brother. Tell everybody where they can find your glorious presence online.
Rob, it's always a pleasure to watch and to listen to you. You can find Michael A. Charbon on the CharbonReport.com, TikTok, YouTube, LinkedIn, True Social, Spotify, Facebook, and on X, and probably at a pet store near you with the Rob Carson moniker.
And today's Charbon Report brought to you by Fancy Feast. Take care, brother. We'll talk soon. Let's take a break and come back. This is the Rob Carson Show. Hello. I'm going to tell the story of what happened to me today next, by the way. It's something else. Brian Cloutier says he didn't get the vaccine. I knew. I just responded on Twitter. I knew the vaccine was BS in capital letters, even though I had people in my life saying that no, it's you got to talk about it. You can't say that. It's bullcrap. I wonder if any of the detox regimens I've seen advertised were effective. Yes, the wellness company has a supplement to get rid of the spike protein in your blood. Look at it. I trust it. I've given it to two of my friends. Who had to get a vaccine. So go to thewellnesscompany.com and you can actually work on that. So. Conserved 1974. I got one jab, gave me heart palpitations. Yeah, I know. It's ridiculous. It's poison. It's poison. Hello, Mickey Hastings. Hello, Dustin Nunez. You knew somebody who died of COVID. I don't know anybody who died of COVID. I'm not saying it didn't happen, but they lied. They fluffed the numbers. 1,000%. 1,000%. I'm not afraid to say that anymore, even though I was told not to. Hello, Gladys. Hello, Prana Yuberjat, Dale Arsenal. All of you guys, hope you're doing well. Linda Andrew. Linda, is a deviant dry run from the enemies of America. We were literally their guinea pigs. Yeah, 100%. 100%. It's time for me to talk. Oh, Metallica, come on. Sounds good. Yeah, believe it or not, this is music that I listen to calm down. Anyway, I mentioned earlier, Carl Higbie noticed that you cannot be pardoned according to the statute written for pardoning. You cannot pardon people for acts you've not been accused of. And so I'm hoping someone listening will bring that up. But I also mentioned to Carl Higbie as a concerned father during COVID, and his kids were having their lives destroyed in school and all of this. And he appeared before a school board, and he was responding yesterday to Senator Kim, who defended Fauci and said we need to spend more on agencies like Fauci's that cause so much death and destruction. Makes a lot of sense. Here's the continuation of that soundbite.
To the grants, cuts to the researchers doing the critical work to find cures and medicines. These firing, these cuts, they're creating a chilling effect.
Yeah, the CDC and the HHS and all that made us more unhealthy than we've ever been. We have at every grocery store in America at least a half a dozen three-wheel carts now for people who are too fat to ride around the grocery store and put those hot Cheetos in the basket in the front there. And then you got kids with type 2 diabetes, and they've allowed poison in our food, seed oils and dyes and garbage in our food. We're the most unhealthy we've been ever. Life expectancy literally dropped, and this jackweed wants to fund more of it.
Thank you for nothing, Kim, by the way. And the attacks?
Carl Higbie.
You mean people like me being pissed off because people like you were masking our kids in schools?
Yeah.
I was escorted out of school board meetings because you
got to have some serious cojones to escort Carl Higbie anywhere.
People were offended by the stuff that I was saying that we turned out to be right about. We were right, and the experts were wrong.
Boom.
You guys are all wrong. And I got news for you, pal. Those attacks, perfectly legal under New York Times versus Sullivan. I'm still considering legal action against that school board you see right there.
Do it.
Where it says, debate on public issues should be uninhibited, robust, wide open, and then it may well include vehement, caustic, and sometimes unpleasantly sharp attacks on government and public officials. Yes, I can give you the finger, and there's nothing you can do about it.
Oh, baby. You want to hear his mic drop? Here is Carl Higbie's. His microphone, by the way, is about 8 feet long, weighs 400 pounds, and he carries it on his shoulder, just like this, like one of the logs that he cuts for the barn that he built. I mean, I'm not joking either. Here he is talking about what our attorney general should do.
You put trannies in the military while pushing out people with scientific and religious concerns against the vax that have now been all proven right. Great hearing, though. Now put somebody in jail or shut up.
Boom, Carl Higbie. You got to watch Carl Higbie on Newsmax, baby. I'm telling you, Higbie, Finnerty, Schmidt, all of them on Newsmax. I know you maybe you're just discovering Newsmax, whatever. There's a lot of networks out there. There's only one network that has cojones like that guy has. Even the women have cojones on Newsmax. Dear God, Nevin, it's not because they're girls like Dylan Mulvaney. It's just they're badass. You got to download the Newsmax app, get a Newsmax Plus membership. That's all there is. I'm doing my show from Newsmax headquarters in Washington, D.C. Hour number 2 of the show coming up. Brigitte Gabriel coming up. Don't go anywhere.
The Rob Carson Show is presented by Paramount Plus. The Rob Carson Show is presented by Paramount Plus.
You don't need to live with aches and pains. Visit relieffactor.com today.
Hold it now. Live from Newsmax Studios in Washington, D.C., the most interesting, informative, and funny show in America, on air and on the World Wide Web. This is the Rob Carson Show.
Also, you might say the most physically animated during the broadcast. You can see that on the live stream, by the way. The live stream, which is gigantic, by the way, reaching millions of people every month. It's crazy, it's crazy, it's crazy. And by the way, we post little clips of the show on my social media and Newsmax social media. If you want to check out my social media, go to Rob Carson Show. TikTok, Instagram, Rumble, YouTube, LinkedIn, Getter, Truth Social, your toaster. It's everywhere. It's everywhere. Google my name. I swear to God, I'll show up in your toaster. You'll be like, what the hell is that? And you'll put the toast in, and it'll pop it, and you'll hear my voice. You'll be like, what's going on? He's taking over the world. So anyway, check it out. And we are in the Newsmax studios now here in the heart of Washington, D.C., a stone's throw from the nation's capital, if you can throw a stone, about a mile and a half. I get to drive by the Washington Monument every morning. Every single morning. This morning I was a little distracted. I'm going to get into the news of the day in a second here, but and I'm going to play the winning jingle. Okay, you like that? Okay, so the winning jingle is coming. It's your favorite thing. Everybody loves the winning jingle. It's your favorite thing. It's crazy. It's like what? If we auditorium tested it, you guys would love the winning jingle more than Kraft macaroni and cheese. I mean, it's just crazy how much you like that. I'm going to play it in a second. Don't worry about it. But this morning I almost didn't have the show today. I almost didn't have the show because you know how I feel about my Bronco, Buck. All right, it was the first new car that I had in 20 years. I was out of work, and then I sold cars for 3 years, and I was hoping and praying that Newsmax would offer me a contract. I had not had a new car in 20 years. I was driving a 2006 Toyota minivan. It was like the second minivan that I owned. I know. Yeah, that's, So I see the new Bronco coming out, and I go to the Ford dealership, and I say, I just had that confidence that something good was going to happen with Newsmax. I was doing my TV show, which is a weekly thing, and then I was doing this Newsmax, the Newsmax Daily podcast, all right? And I was waiting for a contract, a full-time contract, radio and television with Newsmax. And I decided to roll the dice. And I talked to the Ford dealer, and the Ford dealer said, well, you can order one, and you don't have to put any money down. And I was like, okay, cool. So I decided to order Buck. And the reason why they did is because the vehicle was in such high demand that the dealerships, a lot of times you're only allotted a certain amount of vehicles, but if you have orders from people, then the factory has to send that car to your dealership, and if the person who ordered the car backs out, you can sell it. Well, in this case, they would have preferred me to back out because they could have sold the truck for $15,000 over sticker, because that's how hot the car was. So I wait, and finally one day, I drove by every day the dealership, every day, twice, for a year, to see if Buck was there. And finally one day I drove by the dealership, and I drove through the lot, and there was like the sun coming down from the clouds. There's this singular beam of light onto Buck, and I walked up to Buck, and I saw my name on the sticker, and I went, oh my God in heaven, and I went home. You know what I got then? I got an email from Newsmax saying I got a contract that day. That said truck is very near and dear to me. He's my boy. I put a 5,000-watt sound system in it. He's my boy. So I go out to the parking garage this morning, and I look where Buck was supposed to be parked. And I saw nothing. And I began to kind of freak a little bit, because there was one time I accidentally parked on the floor before, because they all look alike. And then the next day I forgot about it. And so I had to go down. So I go ahead and hit the panic button, the little red button on there, to locate Buck. And I got nothing. Buck is gone. My heart leaps into my throat, and I begin. It was like you're losing your dog. I swear to God, it was that bad. because I have a personal connection to this vehicle. You have no idea. You have no idea what this vehicle means to me. So I'm freaking out. And I'm like, somebody stole Buck. God, dang it. And so I'm thinking, in my mind, I'm thinking, oh, he's going to be stripped out. He's going to, his stereo's going to be gone. He's going to be sitting up on center block somewhere. And I got to thinking about it, I'm like, you know, he's going to be hard to steal because they got this GPS and all this stuff, and you got to have the key and the whole deal. And then I decided to go to the Ford app on my on my phone, and he's parked over on whatever street in a location. So I call the police, and I'm like, you know, the police are like trying to be cool because they, you know, I've had like a child abducted, you know, and I'm just like shaking like Anthony Fauci yesterday reading his opening statement, and so I said, and I talked to him, and they had and they're like, calm down. Where do you think he is? I said, well, he's over at 607 whatever street, whatever. And they okay, well, we can send an officer. And then she gets back to me and goes, that's an impound lot. He's been towed. And I went, what the hell? And so I said, all right, thank you for your assistance, officer, and I'll try to make up for the blubbering, panicked fool that I behaved like on the phone here. That's it. Call the impound lot. They said, yeah, we got your truck. And I'm trying to be cool. And it's very hard when somebody tows your truck and wants $200 to get it back. It's very hard to be cool with those people. That's why when I went there, they have this bars and this wiring on the window there because they got to deal with people who are really pissed off that their truck got bought. So I said, why did you tow my truck? I called him Buck. Buck, you mean your truck? Yes, I call him Buck. Why? He was in another space, meaning that I had parked over the line in the parking garage. And the apartment complex, where I have been a great tenant, by the way, I've made many improvements on the house. I pay my rent early. I bring frickin' muffins to the people in the front office, and they towed my truck because I was parked over the line. Needless to say, I'm going to be stopping by the apartment complex later today, and I'm going to say, you better take that off the rent, or I'm going to find another place to live. And I mean it. I'm like, I will find another place to live. You don't tow Buck, and because he's parked, you know, of course I parked him. It's my fault. I'm abusive. I'm sorry, Buck. I apologized to him already. So I got Buck. I drove my daughter over there. I was so angry. I drove her truck over there with her. She ended up getting car sick because I was so mad. She's like, you got to slow down. I'm getting car sick. I'm like, I can't help it. I got to go get Buck. So I get into Buck, and, you know, it was a teary reunion. You know, it was kind of weird, but this is the way it is. I turned on some Metallica, drove Buck into work, and it finally calmed down enough that I can possibly laugh about it. That's how my day started. But I was, at the very beginning of it, I said, the first thing I said was, he's been stolen, and if he's been stolen, I don't miss my show very often. But I would have gone to the ends of the earth to find Buck, and if I had to, not do the show today. But you know what? I did. There you go. So yeah. I thought I'd share that with you. Because, you know, sometimes it's a case. Occasionally, it's one of the conventions of entertaining people is to share a little bit about the host, and there you go. So I have a psychotic connection with anthropomorphizing a vehicle made of metal and plastic and rubber. But by God, I just got dumped by a woman I've been dating for 6 months, and Buck's my only friend.
We love to win, winning, so much winning. It's lots of winning, 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 lots of winning. It's oh so good.
So if you Google the U.S. economy grows at 1.5%, you're going to get a whole bunch of headlines on Google, and they're all going to be negative. It's all going to be sluggish economy under Trump. Sluggish. I mean, really, honestly, it is. It is. So 1.5% GDP growth in a singular quarter extrapolates to 6% per year. Because 4 times 1.5 is 6. That's big. But the media is painting it as bad. I did a little research, and Obama's economy grew at an annual rate of 2.3% overall. Joe Biden's grew at 3% I'm doubting that. Joe Biden, 70% of the jobs created under his administration were because of government jobs. There you go. And inflation went up 30 or so percent. Housing prices doubled in the whole deal. So 1.5% quarterly growth rate extrapolates to 6.66%. There you go. Not 666 like that, but 6%. 6%. There you go. So the economy is coming back. Spending was up as well. And of course, obviously, the price of gas, because we're kicking Iran's rear end up between its shoulders. We'll talk to Brigitte Gabriel very shortly, but I have a feeling the end is near. Donald Trump has had enough. Let's take a break and come back. This is The Rob Carson Show.
M.
Got a rejoin?
So you preferred your pronouns to be they and them. They, them. Okay. So, do you need me to explain how to use that? Nope, because I'm not going to.
I love it. Caitlin Minute. By the way, Gordon Chang is at the bottom of the hour. Brigitte Gabriel is next hour, so there you go. Got a lot of stuff to talk to about, because the COVID vaccine came from China, you see. We'll talk to Gordon Chang about that. I'll tell you what, man, I was watching the news last night, all of the nonsense, people saying, that Anthony Fauci was a good guy, and, it's still the media, they fawned all over him, and they made him they deified him to some degree. And it was really, 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 really disgusting to watch. I have a soundbite here I want to go to for Abby Normal over on CNN. She was talking to Lydia Moynihan, who's fantastic, by the way. And Lydia Moynihan schooled her because Abby Normal acted like, well, why are you upset with Anthony Fauci? I don't understand. I don't understand how you could be a journalist and be as clueless as to not want to hold this monster accountable for what he's done. He's a monster, all right? But here is Abby Normal and Lydia Moynihan last night.
Let me ask you a question. Can you be a little bit more specific about what you think Fauci did and said that was so wrong that based on what we knew at the time?
He paid for the virus to be created.
That you should hold him accountable for every bad thing that happened during COVID as a result of the virus and lockdown.
So the diaries are quite illuminating because he was writing one thing at the same time that he was saying something very different publicly. He was extremely dismissive, for instance, of the origins.
Yeah, I honestly, you cannot be that clueless, Abby Normal. My God in heaven, what the bleep are you talking about? Utterly ridiculous. With regard to what Anthony Fauci did, by the way. Here is Jesse Waters talking about it.
We learned that Fauci and Dr. Birx had a secret meeting to conspire against Trump and trap him into shutting down the economy. We learned Fauci bribed scientists with grant money so they'd say the virus didn't come from the lab.
Yeah.
Did he also pay someone to lobby Biden for the pardon? And Rand Paul indicates Fauci destroyed evidence, thousands of emails.
Other than that, he was great. And yeah, he knew the origins of the virus.
We all know the virus came from a Chinese lab. There's no dispute over that. And we know Tony funded the lab.
Here is Tommy Tuberville, excellent congressman, talking about how Fauci should be in jail.
This gain of function nonsense where he actually did fund the gain of function in the Wuhan lab. Now we know that it was released from the Wuhan lab. Now, whether it was on purpose or not on purpose, it killed
my opinion is that it was because of the election year, you see.
Millions of people, and he lied through his teeth. He should be locked up before he leaves this building today and put in prison and then put on trial in front of the American people. We lost 20 to 30,000 people in Alabama alone.
Yeah.
And I hope every damn one of them sues this Dr. Fauci, puts him in court. If we can't put him in prison, let's put him in court every day.
Sue him, make him penniless.
For the rest of his life, where he has to be punished and listen to the death that he caused. The vaccine, the death.
Abby Normal on CNN doesn't know this because she's lying to herself, and she's a Democrat Party apparatchik.
Lies that he gave to President Trump, and then he took over for Biden, and Biden didn't know what day it was, and so he was free to just run loose across this country and just lie when the truth he knew was totally different than what he was telling. And again, it's embarrassing.
He destroyed millions of lives. He bought and paid for the damned virus. They released the virus, and it destroyed the economy, and it destroyed a generation of kids. A generation of kids. We haven't even analyzed what it did to the minds of children who couldn't be with one another and had to wear stupid masks and be terrified. Just live in fear. Live in fear. You could die of this virus. What did you do to our kids? My God. Abby Normal doesn't even know that. Here's a little story from Waters, Jesse Waters, about some of the other stuff that this SOB did.
While the rest of the country quarantined and masked, homeschooled, 6 feet apart, Thanksgiving canceled, blackballed if you contradicted the company line.
Yeah.
Police were breaking up church services.
Yeah.
Moms got arrested.
Your advice to communities like that, to idiotic politicians who enforce those rules, arrested that mom for watching a football game with her own family outside. When that story broke, I said to myself, I cannot stand idly on the side and watch this happen. Here I am sitting in front of you 6 years later saying, who the do you think you were for...
You couldn't go see a movie. You couldn't go see a concert. I saw this all in real time. I was screaming. I was like, I saw what was happening. And I told you that the moment that it changed for me is when they said, you can't go to church. I said, oh, boy. Now I know this is a psyop. Now I know this is control. You know what masks exist for? I told you this when it was happening. I said masks exist to broadcast fear. That's all. They exist to broadcast fear. And you still have idiots wearing these masks everywhere I go here. In Northern Virginia, Washington, D.C., I still see idiots in their cars alone wearing a mask, or idiots out on the sidewalk still wearing a mask. Honestly, they made us wear surgical masks for 2 years. Are you freaking crazy? They made us wear surgical masks for 2 years. Pull your heads out of your butts, for God's sake. Oh, yeah, and then Anthony Fauci, while we were losing our businesses and our relatives were dying alone, he got rich.
During the pandemic, you got rich, didn't you? You got rich while people were dying, hundreds of thousands of Americans, over 1 million in the end, and you were getting rich. And not only were you doing that, you were using federal employees with taxpayer money to apply for and solicit cash prizes for you personally.
Yeah, and don't forget all the PPP loans that were forgiven and stuff. And don't forget that they increased the size of the government by 40% and then have effectively been looting our treasury ever since.
Cash prizes totaling over $1 million.
Destroyed the value of the dollar.
Dollars.
Caused unbelievable inflation.
You did all of that during the pandemic, didn't you?
Yeah.
Thousands dead a day. And Tony was telling staff, put my name down for this award, $1 million prize, and tell the lawyers not to block it. Now, it's illegal for federal officials to solicit cash prizes, so that's another charge.
Yep.
And while he was self-dealing and dining with Tapper, he was posing for photo shoots.
You could sit for InStyle magazine, but you can't answer questions for the American people.
Know, right?
You could sit for InStyle magazine, but you're here taking the fifth. You could sit for InStyle magazine and get $1 million in cash awards. But now the cat's got your tongue.
Yeah.
I bet he does.
Yeah. This is Jim Gossett as Tony Fauci on the Rob Carson Show.
At that hearing, the fifth Fauci took 111 times.
I hope he dies broke.
My silence makes me look like a crook.
Civil suit, who wants it?
I refuse to testify.
Anybody got a loved one?
The law, I broke it.
Let's do it.
The fifth invoked it. Don't ask me why.
We got to sue him for a couple billion.
They say that I could be held in contempt for my failure to comply. Biden's pardon won't make me exempt. In this case, it does not apply. Rand wants to test me and to arrest me. You know he'll try. I am guilty, there is not a doubt. It's clear that I have been caught.
Yeah, yes.
Joe's no longer there to bail me out.
All right, that is brand new from Jim Gossett, by the way. Go to patreon.com, Jim Gossett Comedy, patreon.com, Jim Gossett Comedy. Gordon Chang at Gordon G. Chang on X joins us next to talk about the country, the origin of the virus, China. Don't go anywhere. This isn't the end of a fight. It's the start of one. Lioness, the critically acclaimed original series from Taylor Sheridan, returns August 2nd only on Paramount+. It's the new season. Hidden networks, foreign operatives, and personal betrayals collide while Joe walks the line between duty and family. Don't miss Lioness, starring Zoe Saldana, Michael Kelly, with Morgan Freeman and Nicole Kidman, streaming August 2nd only on Paramount+.
deported. Deported.
Get them out. Ready? Are you ready? Get them out of here. Get them out of here. Get the hell out of here.
Hey guys, it's Carson for Relief Factor. When it comes to supplements, two things matter most: that it works and that you can trust it. Jim ran out of Relief Factor twice. Both times his ache, stiffness, and pain came back. Once he restarted again, he says he felt better again. You know something's working when you run out of it. I started taking Relief Factor 6 months ago. I ride 30 miles on a Saturday morning on my mountain bike and lift weights every other day, and I feel great. People like Jim make it easy to find out if you'll be the next person telling us Relief Factor help you tackle your daily aches and pains. 3 weeks for just $17.76. Simply go to relieffactor.com or call 800-4RELIEF. They will do everything they can to help. We hope you'll be sharing your story with us too. 800-4RELIEF or relieffactor.com. Hey guys, it's Carson for Ghost Bed. Do you really want another summer like last summer, barely sleeping because you were too hot all night? People blame summer heat for bad sleep when it really may be their mattress trapping heat. And if you already sleep hot, summer only makes it worse. That's why I switched to Ghost Bed. Helps keep you cool all night, no waking up sweaty, tossing and turning, or throwing the covers off at 2 a.m. Cooling tech is built into every mattress. It's not some expensive upgrade you have to pay extra for. Hot sleepers are some of Ghost Bed's happiest customers. Read the reviews. You get incredible support, less stiffness, deeper sleep, more rested mornings. I got my Ghost Bed about 6 months ago, and it changed my life. Ghost Bed gives you 101 nights to try it at home. You can sleep on it all summer long and feel the difference for yourself. How many more summers are you going to waste on bad sleep? Ghost Bed is currently having their 4th of July sale, offering my audience an extra 10% off. Go to ghostbed.com/Carson. Use the promo code Carson. That's ghostbed.com/Carson, promo code Carson.
You know, the CIA, the FBI, the Department of Energy all believe that this virus came from a lab. And yet we don't have yet any admission from the architect and the most prominent supporter of gain-of-function research. Everybody was extolling Anthony Fauci and saying he was the nation's doctor. No one admitted that he had a conflict of interest, that because he had funded the lab, he had a strong argument for saying it didn't come from the lab.
You know, there is, I mean, if you completely ban all gain-of-function research, then you're going to interfere with some of the important things we need to do.
Yeah, all roads lead back to Anthony Fauci, who's been a big fan of gain-of-function for whatever reason, and it's very apparent that he found a lab that would do his dirty work in Wuhan, China. Joining us to talk about this and so much more is expert on all things China. Among other things, he's an expert on everything, for goodness sake. Gordon Chang at Gordon G. Chang on X. Gordon Chang, how are you on this glorious Thursday, sir?
I'm fine, Rob, and thank you so much.
It's great to have you on. So We don't talk about how the Chinese have reacted to COVID, how the Chinese people reacted to COVID, how many people in China died of COVID, who the Chinese hold accountable for COVID. I am very curious as to how the CCP has presented COVID and its origins to the people.
Yeah, they have talked about this zoonotic transfer, that it came from a bat in southern China, in Yunnan province, and then worked its way up through an intermediary mammal to Wuhan, which is in the central part of the country, and then ended up, in people. And they've talked about the Wuhan, not the lab, but the wet market, and they've been very quiet about this, as you can imagine. They haven't talked about it in a very long time, and clearly they're very concerned about it because they know where it came from.
Yeah.
I mean, 99.99% it came from the Wuhan Institute of Virology, because no one's been able to document those zoonotic transfers, and they are improbable when you think about the distances that have that would require for this for this virus to transmit.
I guess I'm having a hard time figuring out why they would still say this, even though technically, I mean, the United States is kind of responsible for it. I mean, they both are. The lab is still open. I'm trying to figure out how they can continue that story when, I mean, even American comedians like Jon Stewart know it's bullcrap. It clearly was a working with the American NIAID. I'm not so sure. I don't understand why they don't kind of use it as a tool against America.
Well, now that you mention it, I mean, they've got at least 2 secret Chinese biological weapons labs in the United States, which were discovered, thank God.
Yes.
One in Reedley, California, which was found in December 2022. And the other one was in Las Vegas, which was raided in January of this year. And from all that we can tell, Rob, there is almost certainly a third facility which is yet to be uncovered.
Wow.
And we don't see this FBI spending very much time trying to figure out what's going on. Matter of fact, we find them trying to cover things up from what we can see. And that is really disconcerting, especially because the facts point to a third facility.
Unbelievable. So how did COVID, though, I mean, are they being honest? Well, of course they're not being honest. They're the CCP. But do we know the amount of death it caused? How did they react to China? China loves to control people. Don't get me wrong. I'm sure they probably look, we can shut down everybody. We can control everybody. But how did China react to COVID versus the United States? And what was the impact?
Well, what China did was it locked down the central part of the country during the initial stages of the epidemic. And it was a strict lockdown. And as time progressed, the lockdowns became even more strict. As we saw people, for instance, literally welded into their homes.
I remember that. I remember there was a night I recall, and they were showing the high rises in, I think maybe Beijing, and people were screaming, and it sounded like people who were in torment in hell. It was just terrifying.
Yeah, that was in western China.
Oh.
And that was a high-rise apartment that was on fire. And the fire trucks couldn't get to the building because of barricades on the road.
Oh.
People in that building were, in fact, welded into their apartments and couldn't leave.
Oh.
And that is one of the most horrific stories that came out of the epidemic.
I'll never forget it.
Yeah, we know how bad things were inside China. What we don't know, Rob, is the number of people who died from this.
Yes.
And that we won't know until the Communist Party releases their archives, which means after they fail and people start to go through the papers and then figure out how bad things were. And then we'll also find out how many people died on the night of June 3 and June 4 in Beijing.
Yeah. I'm Did they mandate the vaccine, or did they come up with their own vaccine? I'm just curious about this. These are questions I came up this morning. I was thinking about talking to you, and you, since you're such an expert on this, and you know the culture and the government and the country so well, did they mandate the American vaccine in China? Did they force people to take vaccines if you couldn't be in the military, you couldn't go to work, etc.? Did they do that over there?
They did that with their own vaccine. And of course, unless you were a senior Communist Party figure, you didn't get the good stuff.
Wow.
This was the stuff that came out of the United States. So this was China making sure that its vaccines were used, because it was a political issue, and that's why they forced the Chinese people not only to take their vaccines, but also twice-a-day COVID tests.
Wow. Yeah, I recall that, honestly. It was just such a... I don't know. You have to think that America was colluding with China, because we bought all of our protective gear, masks, all of that crap from China. We had massive, multi-billion-dollar contracts. You have to believe that there was some colluding between the two.
Well, a couple things. First of all, at that time, the U.S. couldn't manufacture masks and the other protective equipment, which is the reason why we were importing so much from China.
Okay.
In terms of collusion, that goes back to the Fauci story. You got to remember, in 2014, President Obama imposed a federal moratorium on the funding of gain-of-function research in the United States, because he felt it was too dangerous to be done here. And that's when Fauci decided that he knew better than the President of the United States, and then he funded Echo Health Alliance, which was a New York NGO, which then transferred the money to the Wuhan Institute of Virology. And the one thing that Fauci doesn't want people to know is that there are two scientific papers, 2016 to 2017. They're written by researchers at the Wuhan Institute of Virology. They clearly describe gain-of-function research, and they both specifically acknowledge funding from Fauci's National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases. This is public record.
Unbelievable.
And clearly, the reason why this is important is because in 2021, you had Fauci before Senator Rand Paul under oath say that he did not fund gain-of-function research at the Wuhan Institute of Virology. That was clearly perjury, or it was Fauci not knowing what his own institute was doing. And between those two explanations, the perjury one is much more credible.
You know, I was watching Carl Higbie on Newsmax last night, and he quoted a statute about the presidential pardon, and you cannot pardon someone for something that has not been charged or suspected. So they just gave him a blanket pardon, and I'm hoping maybe there might be something to crunch on there. I'm also hoping massive civil suits by people who lost their businesses or loved ones because of COVID, because I would love to see Anthony Fauci die, preferably in prison, but certainly broke, alone, and ashamed. Let's take a break and come back. Much more with Gordon Chang. Gordon G. Chang on X, by the way. You got to follow this guy. It's the Rob Carson Show. Back in a minute.
CBM.
In 2011, your agency funded Ron Fauci's laboratory when it mutated the avian flu until it could spread through the air between mammals. This was the tipping point. This is when others became worried. You funded this. You advocated for this. The federal government's own biosecurity board, though, recommended withholding the details of these experiments because of the danger the research posed. People were concerned that publishing it was publishing a roadmap to creating bioweapons around the world. But you sided with the gain-of-function scientist Fauci and argued that the benefits of publishing the research far outweighed the risk.
I don't even know. I can't even imagine why. I can understand why the CCP would want to create a virus that's easily used as a weapon, but one thing that we've learned from all of this is that the United States members of our government are capable of such evil acts as well. That's one of the things that really was dispiriting for me, and I'm glad it's been exposed, Gordon Chang.
Yes. Well, we got to remember that gain-of-function research and biological weapons research are essentially the same thing.
Yes.
And the issues get complex, which is the reason why it took the Obama administration some time to actually impose that moratorium. But once that federal decision was made, Fauci should have realized that funding gain-of-function in a Chinese biological weapons lab was essentially helping China build bioweapons. And unfortunately, in this case, one of them did, for some way, get out of the lab, and that has resulted in the deaths of about 9 million or so people. There's 7 million people outside the China that died from it. We don't know exactly how many in China, but clearly we could be talking 8 or 9 million.
Unbelievable. You know what? We haven't touched on this story that's been going around. I've been kind of watching it percolate. China, the Chinese Communist Party, paying American media to report negatively on Donald Trump. Have you looked into that much? I didn't get a chance to dig into it today, but I saw it last night. I think Newsmax did a story on it. But it sounds like this is unbelievable. Not only are they paying, Neville Singham and that China's done a lot of things to foment revolution in our country, but this is remarkable.
It is remarkable, but we've known, Rob, this has been going on for quite some time. Not so much that they paid specifically for negative stories about President Trump, but that they've been paying journalists.
Wow.
And this is an issue. We are starting to learn a lot of things that we've known for a long time, but they really haven't risen up to public consciousness.
This is treasonous. This is treason. It's taking money from an enemy country and publishing propaganda against the President of the United States. These people need to be investigated for treason, Gordon Chang. This ain't freedom of speech. This is treason. This is spying, essentially. Maybe not spying, but becoming a tool of a foreign enemy to take down an administration.
Yes, this is, we have not designated China as an enemy, and that's something that we have to do. But one can argue that these journalists should have registered under the Foreign Agents Registration Act, FARA, and obviously they didn't. This is going to be something that we're going to have a national conversation on, because we are under assault from the Chinese regime. It's a comprehensive assault. Every single contact that regime has with us, they're using it to take down our country.
Yep.
We need two things. We need the President of the United States to declare China enemy, and then we got to start getting serious and protecting our society.
Yep.
We need both of those things at the same time.
Yeah. You had mentioned Chinese selling man pads to Iran. Explain.
Yeah. Reuters on Tuesday night, late Tuesday night, reported that China had manufactured and was selling somewhere between 300 and 400 what are called man pads to Iran, and they would be delivered soon. These are shoulder-fired missiles.
I got you.
They're lethal. They can bring down American aircraft. Matter of fact, they've already brought down American aircraft in this particular war. President Trump yesterday said that he would be disappointed if this story were accurate.
Yes.
And most people believe the story is accurate. Xi Jinping has assured President Trump that China would not be selling weapons to Iran. Obviously, China is continuing to do that. Now it's up to President Trump to express more than just disappointment, but to warn the Chinese in public And I think at this point to actually impose severe costs.
I agree.
Trump has talked about imposing tariffs on countries that supply weapons to Iran. Now's the time to actually impose them and to impose other costs on China, because we're talking about China trying to kill American servicemen.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. I appreciate you. See, when you said man pads, I thought it was what Tim Waltz wants to put in boys' bathrooms. That's kind of what I thought when you said that originally. You know, it's kind of funny, Gordon. Wrapping up on kind of a humorous note, I was watching the live chat on all of our Newsmax media social media pages where I do the show live, and one of them when they introduced you, they said it's time to join the Chang gang. The Chang gang. I thought that's pretty cool.
Well, thank you so much, Rob. So far, it's just a gang of one, or maybe it's two.
I think you got a few. You got a few on the Chang gang, baby. I appreciate you, Gordon Chang. Thank you so much, Gordon Chang. Gordon G. Chang on X. Thank you, sir. We'll talk again soon.
Thanks, Rob.
All right, let's take a break and come back. This is the Rob Carson Show. That's the sound of the man working on the Chang gang. Oh, man. All right, here we go. Hello. Gordon, that was pretty good, wasn't it? That was a pretty darn good segment today. A lot of information. I wanted to get... we haven't heard the perspective of Chinese with regard to COVID, so I thought that segment, particularly the first half of that segment, was very interesting, if I do say so myself. Let's see what we got here. Man portable anti-aircraft divorce. Okay, man pads. There you go. Man pads. I'm glad you like that. I'm glad you like. I was like, I thought Tim Waltz wanted man pads in the boys' room. There you go. Hello, deplorable dinosaur. I didn't wear a mask. If a store required it, I went somewhere else. Yeah, I know. I remember I went into Menards, and they wanted a mask, and I said, I'm out of here. I was pissed off. That was right at the very beginning of it. I said, I'm not going to wear it. Screw you. Screw you. Not going to do it. Not going to do it. What an idiotic thing to make us do. And what an idiotic thing. I shame people now publicly. If I see somebody wearing a mask, like a young couple wearing a mask, I literally say, oh my God, is there another strain of COVID? Should I be terrified? And they look at me, and they can tell I'm making fun of them. Kathy says, great show, Rob. Well, thank you. Despite thinking my truck was stolen today, I was able to pull things together. I was a wreck. I was a friggin' wreck. I was thinking he was going to be stripped out. The stereo was going to be gone. They wrecked him, and I wouldn't be able to replace him because I paid him off, and they'd only pay me what I got, so I wouldn't be able to get a new one. It was brutal. It was brutal. Dig it. Show Me How to Live, Audio Slave. My theme song. Never get tired of hearing this song. So, Zohran Mamdani, the Democrat Party uses reparations because I think they should come up with a bill, call it Reparation H. Right? I just came up with that. Let's call it Reparation H. Because you're really screwing the taxpayer up the rear end with Reparation H. There's a sense of humor of a 14-year-old boy that I've been looking for. Reparation H. So, they always said HR, whatever, House resolution. So let's call it Reparation H. That's what we need to call the bill for. But anyway, Zohran Mamdani and the Democrat Party, they want to do reparations because the black people are beginning to go, wow, the Democrat Party really has screwed us over all these years and everything, and they can't racial gerrymander districts and all that anymore. So they promise reparations, knowing that they're never going to get reparations. But when reparations don't happen, they can blame the Republican Party for it. That's the reason why they're doing it. If you are a black person listening right now, you're never going to get reparations. It is only a political tool the Democrats use to say and divert from the damage they've done to particularly the black nuclear family in America's inner cities. They say reparations will give you a government check. How well has that worked out? But Zohran Mamdani says he's going to do reparations.
I stand by what I submitted.
Yes.
It's the truth.
Yes.
It's not a personal assessment. And we often think about slavery and the complicity in slavery as being exclusively to certain geographic areas of the country. Right. Here in New York City, we were...
throughout history, it's not been exclusively black either. It's been for all sorts of people around the globe. It's been a part of mankind since the beginning of civilization.
We were very complicit. I can tell you that this is critically important because this is also what it looks like to acknowledge what history truly was.
There was no slavery in New York.
All they have is that race grift. That's the only thing that's holding the left up at this point. Yeah. And the funniest thing about Mamdani is he's a rich kid from an Indian family.
He is, yeah.
That Indian family invaded Uganda, which is a dump.
I know.
And they live like kings in Uganda. He was the rich, spoiled kid. They're the gentrifiers.
Yeah.
In Uganda, the Mamdanis are the gentrifiers. Driving up housing prices, living like kings in a cheap place. He is exactly what he hates.
So many of these.
Yeah, 100%. And that's what this entire movement is. This DSC movement, the Democratic Socialists, DSA. It's spoiled, entitled children who are over-degreed. A good deal of them have undergraduate degrees. All of them do, and of course overgraduate degrees, graduate degrees, and they owe anywhere between $106,000 and $190,000 in student debt. Have no way to pay it off because they're worthless degrees have gotten them a job at Starbucks. They make a lot of them under $60,000 a year. If you owe $200,000 for a loan for student debt, you are going to be angry, pissed off because your degree is worthless. You see other people around you succeeding. You realize that you can't because you got yourself in this problem. And so the only way out is to get a government bailout. And you look at socialism as a way to punish those who are successful, who weren't dumb enough to get a stupid degree in lesbian poetry or whatever the hell it was, spend $200,000 on it, and now you can't find a job. So they want to bring down the rest of us to pay them because of the bad mistakes they've made. I've got much more on this on the other side of the break. Also, what Democrats think of Republicans versus what Republicans think of Democrats. The brainwashing has worked. This is why your family was broken up. Mine too. Stick around.
The Rob Carson Show is presented by Paramount Plus. The Rob Carson Show is presented by Paramount Plus.
You don't need to live with aches and pains. Visit ReliefFactor.com today.
You are about to hear the most interesting, informative, thought-provoking, and funny show in America. On air and on the World Wide Web. This is the Rob Carson Show.
Have I provoked any thoughts today? I'm just asking, have I provoked any thoughts today? I have a feeling I may have provoked a few thoughts today. It's already Thursday. Yay. Thursday. We have much to get to before the end of the radio program and the live stream, I should say, as well. It's not just radio, it's a live stream. We're on radio stations around the country, some great affiliate stations around the country, 4 glorious Benny Media radio stations in New Hampshire. Talked to Jack Heath today. He's the morning mayor there in Concord. Concord is a lovely little town, by the way. Lovely little town. I would love to go up again if you guys are listening at Benny Media. How about you invite me up? I'd love to come up. I'll even pay for my own hotel room. Anyway. KSCO in lovely Santa Cruz, WGMD in Rehoboth Beach. We've got them all over the place. KBQ in Albuquerque. Thank you so much for being a part of it. We got the station in North Dakota, in Georgia, and others, and hopefully adding more affiliates as we grow here. Obviously the number of radio stations is growing. It's kind of a tough row to hoe when you've got a lot of other syndicated hosts out there who already had their foot in the door, right? And oddly enough, this is my second job in talk radio, okay? And so, believe it or not, despite my age, I'm a fresh voice in talk radio. And a lot of people have been in it forever. You know, Sean Hannity's been in it forever. Glenn Beck's been in it forever. Rob Carson comes along, and those guys have already got the slots. We're working on it. The positive is there's nobody who does a show like me. So, we like to use humor when we make a point, like to entertain, inform, motivate people to do good, those kind of things. And then, of course, not just talk politics all the time. One of the things that bothered me the most with Rush and how he was kind of pigeonholed to some degree. He started out as an entertainer like me in music radio. He was a music jock. I was a morning radio personality. And so this is sometimes people say, well, you kind of sound like him. Well, when you are an entertainer, you project as one. And so I'm not trying to mimic Rush Limbaugh. It's just this is kind of how we sound. And one of the things at Rush, he was kind of pigeonholed, and whenever he would stray outside of politics, people would shriek and say, "Stick to the issues! Stick to the issues!" And listen, the issues are really important. The issues are, and I think I do a pretty darn good. I covered this COVID and all this, nothing, the Anthony Fauci and all that. I covered it pretty well. I mean, really, really well. But occasionally, I like to go outside of the realm of just politics and do other things. It's just the way it is. So that's what makes a difference. That's why the show is growing. That's why the live stream is growing. That's why the podcast went from nowhere to number 10 political commentary podcast in America just a couple months ago. I'm not sure where we are right now, but it's right up there. And you guys have done it, so it obviously is resonating with many of you. And like I said, we're just beginning. We are just beginning. I did post a new video of the studio here that I built at Newsmax. I've still got a few things I need to do. Got the neon sign in the window behind frosted glass. It looks cool as hell. Go to all of my social media at Rob Carson Show if you'd like to see it. That would be cool. So I don't know if you knew this, but Zohran Mamdani is a communist. And I didn't talk about this, but he decided to publish the names and addresses of all property owners potentially affected by his pied-de-terre tax, which is a tax on just because people have a second home, they don't live in full-time in New York, and it's worth more than $5 million. They just decide to tax it for bleeps and giggles because they can. And then he doxed the homeowners, and he sent these menacing letters, notification letters to people, reminding them that the tax would be implemented soon and to check your mailbox. This is scary bleep here, all right? This is vicious, vindictive, and awful, and if I had a home in New York City, I'd say stick it. Stick it. I'm out of here. You vicious little man. You ridiculous human being. And then the other day he said you could protest. He's sending a message, by the way. Let me tell you this. The other day he said that he wants people to get out and protest when Bibi Netanyahu is in New York in September, which is a dog whistle for violence, for radical Islam and the left. It is. Don't, as Rush would say, don't doubt me. It's a dog whistle. And then he's talking about the pied-à-terre tax and publishing all of the names and addresses. I think it's kind of funny because one of them is Cynthia Nixon from Sex and the City, who's just an idiot, first of all, and a sycophantic leftist who loves Zohran. Her name and address, she's a celebrity, you're not supposed to do that, was published in this list. And do you know why? Because they want to do the same thing they did to the billionaire, I'm drawing a blank on his name, when Zohran stood out in front of his condo, his $200 million condo, and said, we're going to tax the rich right here. There you go. Because he wants people to go there. He wants to target these people. There is no doubt about it.
I think one of the bedrocks of our city is protest. It is something that has been a part of what makes our city so special, that New Yorkers...
No, not really, no. It's actually the pizza, bagels, tall buildings, scenery. It's kind of cool.
Can express themselves whether they are in support or in opposition, no matter on whatever topic.
Protest? The city runs on capitalism and cocktails.
It's ridiculous. He wants people to go to these homes and threaten these people. He wants them to live in fear because they're the rich. They are the rich that we've heard so much about. I had a soundbite from Ted Cruz about Marxist doxing of Zohran Mamdani. I mean, by Zohran Mamdani.
This is who the communists are. And the word communist sounds jarring, but that is who these people are. Mamdani is not a socialist. He is a Marxist. He's a full-on communist. The DSA candidates that he supported that won in New York are full-on communists. The DSA candidates who won in Colorado are full-on communists. And look, as you know, my family has seen this firsthand. Mm. My father was imprisoned and tortured in Cuba as a teenager. My tia Sonia was imprisoned and tortured by Fidel Castro. This can happen, and this is part and parcel of the strategy. It is identify the people you hate, and then harass them, threaten them, and violence is part of the plan. That's not a bug. It is a feature. It is the objective.
Homeboys, hillbillies, Hebrews. There may be a point where we have to end this nonsense in a defensive fashion, not an offensive fashion, but in a defensive fashion, because these people are bananas. They want to get rid of the Senate. They want to get rid of how we elect the president. They want to get rid of the border. They want to get rid of prisons. They want to get rid of the military. And the only thing they're going to understand is getting their rear ends kicked up between their shoulders. So there you go. Former Democrat Party activist has been making the rounds. Evan Barker, a young woman who used to be an activist, fundraiser for the Democrat Party. She left the party in 2024 after the election because she had raised a lot of money for the party over the years. She had a chance to rub elbows with some of the most powerful people. A few years ago, she was at an event at the home of billionaire Tom Steyer that kind of changed her mind. Here is Evan Barker talking to Rob Schmidt on Newsmax last night.
I was actually on the lawn of Tom Steyer's mansion in San Francisco when he brought out his new director of his organization, and her mission that cycle was to spend $60 million to help the Democrats. Yeah. And she literally announced, and I write this in my book, Nothing Left, she literally announced to the crowd of these extremely rich white people clapping at her every word like drunken seals that we would not be getting those voters back, that they were gone and there was no point. And that the future was going to be young people and young people of color.
Because they don't want to abandon this crazy platform that they've taken on, and you can't get those voters if you're going to be
exactly. They refuse to moderate.
I mean, In 2024, in an op-ed for Newsweek, she expanded on why she becoming disenchanted with the Democrat Party. She's got this book called Nothing Left: Confessions of a Democrat Operative. One of the things is that they want to vilify men. Particularly whiteness and maleness. That's what they want to do. That's what they have been doing. Here is Evan Barker talking about that.
Is it the donors that are driving this craziness?
It's a combination of the donors and the consultants. I would see the craziest things behind the scenes. It is so much worse than you can ever imagine. The public doesn't know this, but George Soros' organization actually put out a directive around 2020, 2021 that said that they were only going to donate to organizations led by non-white leaders for the next 5 years.
Yeah.
I personally saw
racist.
people
really
that
racist.
didn't get jobs because of this policy. Organizations were terrified of losing their funding. It completely changed the leadership class in the Democratic Party.
Yeah, it's utterly ridiculous. I'd love to see people get fed without Whitey. Sorry, I mean, a good share of the farming is done by white people. I'm not saying that all, whatever, but there's a lot. I'm really tired of just white people just because I'm supposedly white. What am I white really? No, my daughter says that my complexion looks like that of a Papa John's cheese pizza. Kind of that orangey. Here is Evan Barker on the elites that want the police defunded. This is this self-loathing of the Democrat Party. These are like LGBTQ for Hamas.
And I noticed that a lot of the people that orbited the social justice, especially the defund the police movement, were very wealthy and did come from backgrounds that allowed them to sort of sequester themselves from the reality that many of these policies actually caused. And I write about this later in the book.
That's why they want to get rid of the prisons and stuff. They don't care. The rapists aren't going to come to their gated neighborhood.
But I didn't realize the damage that had been done through these policies until I lived in San Francisco with
They don't see the trafficked children and women.
Toddler. And every time I'd go to the CVS to get him medication, everything was locked up. I'd walk down the street, I'd pass by homeless people, pass out on the sidewalk. There would be homeless people at the playground. My car was broken into 4 times. My garage was burglarized. I was physically assaulted once just walking down the street by some random guy. This is sort of this all happened in under a year. And so no, but it's it was
they're nuts. They're nuts. On the other side of the break, new poll out about what Democrats think of Republicans and what Republicans think about Democrats, and they have really, really been brainwashed. I mean, there's a reason why your relatives and friends don't talk to you anymore, because they have literally been brainwashed. That's up. And then John Fetterman drops the bomb on the Democrat Socialists of America. Let's take a break and come back. This is the Rob Carson Show. a.m.
You got to rejoin?
Yeah.
We have to beat them electorally, and then we have to break their spirit. And then we're going to crush their soul.
Oh, really? You and what army?
Yeah, you see, you can't do that because we haven't sold ours. There you go, yeah. When the Levee Breaks. One of the great songs Led Zeppelin reinvented. The thing about Led Zeppelin, you know, a lot of people will say, Led Zeppelin stole the music of the blues, and, you know, and Elvis Presley stole the music of the blues. No, they didn't. They paid tribute to it. When the Levee Breaks is an old song. Robert Plant looked at the music of the blues in the 1920s and 30s, performed by black musicians in the South like Robert Johnson, although very few recordings of Robert Johnson exist. And they looked at these and they listened to them, and when they went, wow, and they went, wow, and they put their own spin on them. Elvis Presley did the same thing with the blues and gospel and what's called rockabilly. And country. So there you go. A little music lesson for you. Love music. Love me some music. Oh, my God in heaven, I love me some music. You wonder why some of your relatives don't talk to you anymore. I was talking to a friend of mine, and his name's Scott, and he is the relative brother of a person who was one of the friends that we had in Maryland for a dozen years when we lived here. And they had these friends, and we'd go to their home for crab feasts, and every night, I mean, like 5 nights a week, we had dinner together for 12 years, and we'd go play, a Quiddler card game, and we'd have pool parties and all this, and New Year's Eve, every New Year's, and they won't talk to me anymore. None of them will talk to me anymore because of politics and my affiliation with MAGA and Donald Trump. And my friend Scott, his sister is one of the couples that no longer have any. And by the way, this Scott's sister, her husband was my best friend for years. Won't talk to me anymore. Said he never wants to have me in his house again. And that's fine. I got over that. It took a while. It took a while. It really did. It really did. I couldn't believe it really was happening. And then I realized, F you. You know, honestly, wow. Not even worth my time. That said, now we kind of know why. Because the left Democrats have been demonizing us for 10 years. Joe Biden did a speech in front of Independence Hall where he called us MAGA fascists and enemies of democracy. Donald Trump is a Nazi. Donald Trump is a white supremacist. And therefore, we are too, right? And I'm not going to suffer fools anymore. You call me a Nazi, you're going to get it. You're going to get it so bad in your face, you have no friggin' idea how bad you're going to get it in your face. I'm not going to take it anymore. I'm not going to be called names anymore like this. But I want you to listen to this from Jesse Watt.
Well, a former Democrat operative just came clean. Quote, "It was common for us to call Republicans racist almost daily, convincing each other that the alt-right was absolutely terrifying."
I was talking about that Evan Barker was talking about earlier.
A force that wanted to literally murder us. So Democrats really sit around convincing each other that Republicans want them dead. Yeah. And here's a study to prove it. Researchers asked each party to sketch the other one in their head. When Republicans pictured a Democrat, they drew a kid who won't grow up. Naive, irrational, immature. But when Democrats pictured a Republican, they drew a monster. Savage, barbaric, cold-blooded killers. Basically, Republicans think Democrats are silly, and Democrats hate Republicans to their core.
I want you to think of me as your worst nightmare. How's that? Think of us as your worst nightmare. Because we're going to crush your Democrat socialist dreams. Because you are little spoiled children. And you're going to get the spanking of a lifetime. Here's John Fetterman talking about the freaks of the DSA. And I got to tell you, the more I know John Fetterman, we'll disagree profoundly on a lot of things. But I love stuff like this.
Do you see what these freaks are running on? Now, abolish the Senate right here, abolish the presidency, abolish the border, abolish prison and the presidency. Now, like they've never been Democrats. Now they're not even socialists. They're more like communist overall. I've had a bunch of those crazies at my house this weekend protesting. You know, they couldn't make up the mind. Is it Maduro? Free Venezuela? They had signs now for free Palestine, and hands off of Cuba. Like,
and
I'm
yeah.
not sure what they're really protesting, but without a doubt, they're just anti-American people that are the useful idiots for the Republicans. Maybe like reconsider, like, we really want to win. Stop picking hot messes like that. Oh, it means that puts that seat really in play. Absolutely. And
talking about El Sayed in Michigan.
If he wins, that means there'd be a celebration over the GOP, 100%.
Yeah.
Now that he is a big target, and now he said a lot of outlandish things, so that would put that seat there, and then makes it even more difficult for us to recapture the majority.
Yeah, and Harry Hinton, I've got this, let me find this longer bit of video here. Hinton talked about hold on one second, the Democrat Party and how underwater they are going into the midterms. Here we go. This it is.
Way down there underwater. Take a look at this. Okay, the Democratic Party net favorability. Back in 2018, when Democrats were able to take control of the House, they were actually on the plus side of the ledger. They were actually in positive territory at plus 1 point.
Plus one.
Look now in 2026. We're not just talking down there underneath the Potomac. We're talking down there with the Titanic. We're talking 24 points underwater. And this is...
They are 24 points underwater going into the midterms, and they think they're going to win. With all the craziness, the DSA, all of that, which we rejected massively in 2024, and they're going further left, and they're 24 points underwater. I know we're going to win. You got to vote. We are soldiers in this. We are at war. Do not take your eye off the prize of winning, keeping both houses of Congress, and expanding our majorities. Coming up, Brigitte Gabriel on the other side of the break. Don't go anywhere. Hey guys, it's Carson for Ghost Bed. Do you really want another summer like last summer, barely sleeping because you were too hot all night? People blame summer heat for bad sleep when it really may be their mattress trapping heat. And if you already sleep hot, summer only makes it worse. That's why I switched to Ghost Bed. Helps keep you cool all night, no waking up sweaty, tossing and turning, or throwing the covers off at 2 a.m. Cooling tech is built into every mattress. It's not some expensive upgrade you have to pay extra for. Hot sleepers are some of Ghost Bed's happiest customers. Read the reviews. You get incredible support, less stiffness, deeper sleep, more rested mornings. I got my Ghost Bed about 6 months ago, and it changed my life. Ghost Bed gives you 101 nights to try it at home. You can sleep on it all summer long and feel the difference for yourself. How many more summers are you going to waste on bad sleep? Ghost Bed is currently having their 4th of July sale, offering my audience an extra 10% off. Go to ghostbed.com/Carson. Use the promo code Carson. That's ghostbed.com/Carson, promo code Carson. Hey guys, it's Carson for Relief Factor. When it comes to supplements, two things matter most: that it works and that you can trust it. I trust Relief Factor. We hear from people every single day whose lives have changed. And of course, we'd like you to hear a few of their stories. Mark, for instance, was in tears from his daily hand joint discomfort. But after a week on Relief Factor, he felt 50% better. Now he barely even notices any pain. I can attest to this. It used to hurt getting up and out of chairs or even off the bench press at the gym. Not so much anymore. People like Mark make it easy to find out if you'll be the next person telling us a Relief Factor story and how it gave you your life back. 3 weeks now for just $17.76. Simply go to relieffactor.com or call 1-800-4RELIEF. They'll do everything they can to help. We hope you'll be sharing your story to relieffactor.com or 800-4RELIEF. This isn't the end of a fight. It's the start of one. Lioness, the critically acclaimed original series from Taylor Sheridan, returns August 2nd only on Paramount+. It's the new season. Hidden networks, foreign operatives, and personal betrayals collide while Joe walks the line between duty and family. Don't miss Lioness, starring Zoe Saldana, Michael Kelly, with Morgan Freeman and Nicole Kidman, streaming August 2nd only on Paramount+.
In the meantime, we're going to be hitting them very hard because it's our turn to hit them. They know it's coming. They're asking us not to do it, but they tried shooting it last night. So we had 5 rockets shot going 8,500 miles an hour, and all 5 rockets were knocked down to the ground. But they nevertheless took a shot, so it's our turn. And we'll see if we get there with an agreement at some point, but we're going to hit them very hard.
Yeah, hitting them really hard, and I love it. And actually, he said he's vowing to beat the effing S out of them. Those are the kind of words I like to hear from our president when it comes to Iran. Let's find out if Brigitte Gabriel from actforamerica.org agrees. Hello, Brigitte. How are you today?
Hello, Rob. Delighted to be back with you.
So it looks like Trump has kind of had enough. Took a couple days off after 12 days of pounding the snot out of Iran. And he's doing it. It sounds like he's really taking the gloves off. What do you know, and what are you hoping?
Well, I think President Trump was able to show the nation that Iran is really not an honest partner in negotiations towards peace. He can truly tell the world right now, we gave peace a chance. We gave negotiations every opportunity to work. We abided by whatever we had to abide by, but the Iranians refused to do that. And the Iranians refused to attack, refused to retaliate, continue to attack, continue to retaliate. And look, they attacked us in Jordan. They just attacked Egypt yesterday.
Yes.
Iran is wrapping it up, and President Trump is going, okay, that's how you want to play the game? We can play it even better, and we're going to come after you, and we're going to crush you, and we don't care what anybody thinks or says. We're going to destroy you, and that's exactly what he is ramping up to do.
Yeah, and I also saw, and I think this is pretty unprecedented, the U.S. and Saudi Arabia carried out a joint action together, and some of the Arab states, the other Arab states, are joining in, and I think that is great news. It shows a little bit of solidarity with moving forward away from the terror regime into making Iran a participant in commerce and maybe changing the face of the Middle East.
Correct, because now the Arab states finally realize that America is truly moving forward without any chance of going back or stopping this war, and they realized, okay, now is the time for us to get involved and crush Iran once and for all. Remember, they have such rivalries with Iran. The Sunni world, Iran is the only Shiite major country in the Middle East, and pretty much around the world. You know, the Shiites are only concentrated in Iran. There's a little bit in Iraq, a little bit in Syria, a little bit of Lebanon, and that's it. The rest of the Islamic world is Sunni. Iran has been trying to establish hegemony in the Middle East, which the Sunni states do not like, and they resent, and they hate Iran for it. But they were not strong enough to fight Iran. Iran was building and developing nuclear weapons, and America did not stop Iran under Obama or under Biden. Finally, President Trump now is destroying that once and for all. So finally, Saudi Arabia, which is the biggest Islamic, most respected Sunni country in the Middle East, decided, okay, now we can join the fight. And along with Saudi Arabia, now the other Arab states that basically Iran has been bombing, trying to interfere with their oil transfer and oil production, are saying enough is enough. We've had it with you guys. We're going to come out and join the United States in destroying you. And that's the reason why Saudi Arabia felt confident enough yesterday to join America in this fight.
Do you have any reservations about us giving Saudi Arabia technology to create nuclear energy?
Yes, I do.
Yeah.
Because once you start going down this slippery slope, you know, where is it going to stop? Where is it going to stop? I mean, right now the Saudis are our friends because Trump is their friend. And the king knows that President Trump is a true ally and is a loyal ally of Saudi Arabia. But what happens after President Trump leaves the office? What type of administration we are going to have in the United States in 2035? We do not know that. The Saudis do not know that. Now, we know that the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia, he is young. He's going to be the Crown Prince. He's going to be alive for the next 50 years, maybe.
Yeah.
He's going to be the ruler of Saudi Arabia for the next 40, 50 years. So we know what we're going to get out of Saudi Arabia. What gives me comfort is President Trump said again and again that the only reason he agreed to do that with the Saudis is because Saudi Arabia agreed to join the Abraham Accord, and they are going to sign on the Abraham Accord, which gives Israel a little bit of peace of mind, knowing that once Saudi Arabia joins the Abraham Accord, which basically is the biggest gem, the biggest win for the Abraham Accord because of their stature, their wealth, and their standing in the Middle East, and their oil production as well. Once Saudi Arabia comes on board, the rest of the Islamic Sunni world will follow in having peace with Israel, and that would be the the comforting factor. Now, we can monitor Saudi Arabia. Obviously, there is a threshold to producing enriching uranium for energy. They can stop at that, and I believe that's the only reason why President Trump is allowing them to do that.
I had heard from Michael Charbon, who hosts the Charbon Report, and he's our correspondent in Canada, that there were some pro-Iran, pro-Trump protests beginning to happen. I haven't heard much about it. He seemed to have some insider knowledge on it. That, to me, would say maybe they're thinking that a victory could be coming. Have you heard anything about this at all?
You mean uprising and demonstrations in Iran, or
no? I'm talking about in Canada. Not demonstrate, just pro-Iranian, not regime, but pro freedom from Iran and pro what Trump is doing, sprouting up in Canada. That's what he said, and I tend to take his word for things because he's a respected journalist there. But
well, I can tell you, I was speaking in Canada. I was a keynote speaker in Canada about 2 months ago in Toronto, and I spoke to the leaders of the business community. They had elected officials there, and they were very pro-Trump, very national security, and very much disgusted with the leadership that they have right now in Canada. Because they can see that the result of all this cowering to the Islamists,
Yeah.
bending over,
Yes.
not wanting to, offend the Muslims or offend, what I call acts of evil is not working. It did not work. And I have to tell you, Rob, when I landed in Toronto, it was like landing in Bangladesh. My husband and I were absolutely flabbergasted to see the presence of Muslims in Toronto. I mean, we maybe saw, maybe 5% white people, and 95% were people with turbans and burqas, from head to toe, face covering, men in dresses over pants. I mean, we literally thought it's like you landed in Afghanistan.
Well, it is a plan. I'm hoping we're going to be turning it on its heels. I got a few other things I want to cover on the other side of the break, including Zohran Mamdani. 25,000 people have signed a petition for him not to attend the 9/11 commemoration. Why that's a big deal, obviously. We'll cover that on the other side of the break. And again, it's actforamerica.org, actforamerica.org. Join this great organization. Brigitte Gabriel is ahead of it. Let's take a break and come back. This is the Rob Carson Show.
Just 12 hours after President Trump warned Iran would get a beating, U.S. forces launched heavy strikes against the regime. Dozens of targets were hit, including IRGC military command centers, missile and drone launching positions, and the remaining maritime capabilities belonging to Iran. Now, U.S. Central Command released a statement saying CENTCOM forces successfully completed a heavy wave of strikes against Iran in response to yesterday's attempted missile attacks on U.S. forces. The strikes aim to further diminish threats posed by Iran and its proxies to American forces, commercial shipping, and neighboring Gulf countries.
I love the fact that these Iranian leaders are so arrogant and so, I don't even understand this. Brigitte Gabriel, you get your rear end handed to you, and you just decide to poke a little bit more. I love the fact they're this self-destructive. I really do love the fact they're doing this, by the way. I would rather have them do this than us agree to some sort of an agreement that they'll break. What do you think?
They are fighting a spiritual fight.
Yeah.
We are fighting a physical fight. And those who fight the spiritual fight are willing to fight until their last breath, because in their mind, they're fighting for the afterlife. And that's the difference between where we're coming from fighting this war and where the IRGC and the Iranians are coming from fighting this war. And this is exactly why, for them, as long as they are still alive and as long as they are still in the fight, they will continue fighting until the last breath. Well, we brag about, oh, well, we defeated their military, we defeated their navy, we defeated this, we defeated that. We're tallying all the physical damage we did to them, but we did not break their spirit.
Yeah.
For them, as long as we are still alive, they can destroy our navy, they can destroy our military, they can destroy our air force, they can destroy 90 million people in Iran. As long as there are 10 million people alive who believe they are fighting for the afterlife, they will continue fighting.
Well, I suggest we give them.
Continue doing what they're doing.
I suggest we give them a high-speed rail pass to the afterlife. That's what I think. I think we ought to give them a one-way ticket.
That's right. Send them one-way ticket to Allah and maybe be blessed with the 70 versions who are waiting for them on the other side.
Hey, let me ask you,
how crazy they are.
Your homeland is Lebanon, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
My country of birth. Yes. My home is the United States.
Of
My
course.
country of birth is Lebanon.
Of course. Well, my country of birth is Iowa. But that said, but let me how's it going kicking Hezbollah's rear end over there?
Well, they're not really succeeding that much because, you know, Hezbollah is so entrenched, and even the head of the military, the head of the Lebanese army is basically a Hezbollah sympathizer. And so this is very frustrating for the Christians in Lebanon who are saying, not only we're fighting Hezbollah and the Shiites, we're fighting the Christian leaders who are in Hezbollah's pockets. And that's why it is taking longer to win this fight.
Gotcha.
This is exactly why they have not been able to disarm Hezbollah yet. This is why I am concerned about all this. Oh, we're going to fund the Lebanese army and we're going to support the Lebanese army.
Yeah.
And you know, maybe, you know, I think right now what they are trying to do is basically set up a high intelligence unit, like a sophisticated equivalent to the Golani Brigade in Israel or like the Navy SEALs in the United States.
Yeah.
A unit highly specialized to train a certain element of the Lebanese army that they can trust after vetting them and working with them to disarm Hezbollah. So maybe, 5 years down the road, we'll see progress. But I'm not holding my breath to see progress within the next 6 months.
So my contention, and it's fairly obvious, is that Zohran Mamdani wants to attend the 9/11 25th anniversary to plant the flag, to assert some sort of victory over the infidel. That's why he wants to do it. He's an Islamist first, and 25,000 people have signed a petition to say, stay the hell away. I think this has really awakened people in New York City, and they've had enough of this nonsense, and they see through what he's all about, this smiling jihadist. What are your thoughts on him attending, and what could happen if he does?
Well, you know, I mean, what an insult to the memory of those who died, to have an Islamist like him who sides with our enemies. Perfect example. We go to war with Iran. We bomb the Iranian leadership. The second day he comes out in mourning, mourning the death of the Ayatollah and the Iranians because he's a Shia. His wife is a Shia. I mean, they are practicing Islamists. And so to have someone like that at a time of war who sympathizes with their enemy, with our enemy, show up at such a solemn ceremony on 9/11, commemorating 9/11 in New York, at the site of the most horrific attack on the United States, and have that jerk stand in there, acting all sad and, whatever, participating and whatever. It's an insult to the memory who died.
Well, he's the one who says free Palestine. Every other word is free Palestine, the Palestinians. Who handed out candy? Who handed out candy to children on 9/11?
That's right, the Palestinians, exactly. They were celebrating. While we were mourning and crying, they were celebrating, handing out candy like if it's a wedding, celebrating the death of Americans, celebrating the attack on America. These are the guys that he is supporting. Again, his loyalty. My father, God bless his memory, taught me one thing. Actions speak louder than words. He always said to me, don't tell people how you feel. Show them how you feel with your actions, because actions speak louder than words. And when you look at Mamdani, all you have to look is at his actions. It doesn't matter what empty verbiage he's trying to say. What we are watching is his actions, and his actions say, I sympathize and love
100%.
all the enemies of America, Palestinians, Iranians, whatever, much more than I love America.
All right, we've got to run, but I hope that homeboys, hillbillies, and Hebrews show up at that rally and chase his rear end out of there. I mean it. Bullcrap. We got to surround the survivors, protect them from these people, these Islamists, and particularly him, and run his rear end out of it. He should not be allowed to be there. Brigitte, Gabriel, tell everybody real quick about actforamerica.org.
People can go to actforamerica.org, my organization, the largest national security organization in the country. Join us. Join 5 million members. We help pass 300 bills at the federal level and the state level. We need you by our side. Go to actforamerica.org. Join us. Start a chapter in your community. We are mobilizing the nation.
All right. Thank you very much, Brigitte. Have a glorious day. Thanks for being on the show. We'll talk soon. Let's take a break and come back. This is The Rob Carson Show.
Hey, John, why so glum?
I just got let go. The company's downsizing. Wow, thanks. I'll check them out.
Go to mycomputercareer.edu. I know, right? Crazy.
Evaluation. Mycomputercareer.edu.
Oh, maybe a good time for street vendors to sell rotten tomatoes.
Financial aid is available to those who qualify, including VA benefits.
David was in big trouble with the IRS. Yesterday I was talking to her. I thought she was going to be on the show yesterday. She told me, are you ready for this?
Then David called
she was in a bouncy house
right away. They were like, oh yeah, looks like you're qualified to save.
Get a Tax Lawyer went to work.
Should have called way sooner.
Get a Tax Lawyer has helped thousands like David fight the IRS and get a fresh start.
Later on, stay the course. Thanks for joining me.
3070. That's 800-745-3070.
Lorien Harmony Hall opened a unique memory care program this year called Harmony Park.
Chris Schwab,
Lorien
thank you so
Harmony
much
Park
for joining us
features an indoor setting that looks like an outdoor
Facebook.
park space.
All of you guys over on the Rumbly Roos, my friends Auto Cannon.
That is meant to...
Right. Thank you. Sorry about that. I did it again. Sorry about that. Tom K, Auto Cannon. Sorry about that. Thanks for reminding me. I got to run the board. I got to talk to you guys. I'm running this. I'm deciding. I really apologize. Sometimes I blow it. I hope you can appreciate it. It's nothing intentional. Scott Davies, Jamie Bullitt. Hello, deplorable dinosaur. Newsmax TV, fix this link. I'm going to delete you, KJ Mega, if you're going to be an idiot. Bye, idiot. Don't be talking nasty on the chat. You get deleted. I have the power. What am I going to talk about here? Hold on. About 310. All right, I got something I haven't done in a while. Hold on, let me find it. It's a Don't Catch the Stupid update. We haven't done a Don't Catch the Stupid update. For that, we need our Don't Catch the Stupid jingle.
Stupid, people. Just plain stupid.
Stupid is stupid does, Mr. Blue.
Who got stupid?
So Eyewitness said Chicago, they got a massive crime growing. By the way, incredible, gigantic numbers of crime growing on New York subways, but on the L in Chicago, there's a lot of violence going on, and what they've done to battle the violence is they're putting up signs that say, don't commit acts of violence or you get in real big trouble.
We are putting up these signs as an indication of what the consequences will be to any criminal actions on the CTA. We are hoping to deter crime and to encourage people to come forward in their witnesses. These signs are a message to all of our riders and employees that we are working together with the County State's Attorney's Office to take action and ensure and promote a safe ride on the CTA.
There you go. So literally just putting up signs that do not commit acts of violence or you're going to get in really big trouble. Sure. Good luck with that. Good luck with that. Good luck with that.
Just plain stupid.
Stupid is stupid does, Mr. Blue.
Who got stupid? Also,
stupid to have a good time.
This James Tallarico, who's running for Senate in the state of Tejas, he's got this ad out here, and it features him in a Dodge Ram pickup truck. Here's the ad.
Working hard. Across Texas, people are waking up before the sun. Working hard, stretching every dollar. I was born to one of those people.
Yeah, I noticed he didn't say he was hardworking. The only calluses he ever had on his hands was on his right hand in high school.
A single mom guided by faith who did whatever it took to provide for me. As a teacher, I saw
playing guitar.
Families doing everything right and still falling behind. In the State House, I brought both parties together to lower drug costs and cut property taxes. I'm James Tallarico, and I approve this message because I'll take on corruption and make this...
That's right. He'll take on corruption. He'll just slap it right in the face. Just slap it. Or he'll hit it with a pillow. The truck was actually a rental. It was a rental. He drives, I guess. They say he drives a Chevy Colorado. Okay, sure. Probably has a topper on it, and on the back side it's got a topper. Yeah, he had to rent a pickup truck. He's a manly man. Oh my God, what a friggin' joke. The odds for him winning are like 40% versus Paxton. I think it's 60. Although polling says that he's ahead. Okay, sure, right. God bless you. America's founded Donald Trump, our military kicking Iran's rear end, and by the grace of God, tomorrow is Friday. In the meantime, don't catch the stupid. You're the best. I love you guys.
Information. Truth is freedom. Is Newsmax. It's real news for real people.